Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will see how we can use or create an agentic Azure AI agent using Python SDK, and the steps are very simple. So, in order to do that, first we need a source URI. So, the project URI you will be getting in overview. Once you go in overview, you have this Azure Microsoft Foundry project endpoint. Just copy this endpoint and let's go and try to write a code which helps us to create a new agent. So now we are in our PyCharm IDE. You can use any IDE, that is not a problem. So first we'll what we need to in order to create an agent in Azure AI Foundry. The libraries are required here. This Azure AI Agents is one of them. Then Azure Identity is also required if you are using credentials. But probably as I logged in through agent through in the console itself in my local, then I don't need to be have this Azure identity. But if you have those credentials with you, obviously all those project ID and then uh, GPT-4o minis, version number, deployment ID, all of those stuffs, then you can use this Azure identity to get the connection. But in my case I just do one Azure login. So if you go into the terminal, you can have this Azure login with you. So once you execute that command, you will be redirected to the browser where you just logged in or pick up an account. In your case, it's a Azure account, and you will get the message you have logged into the Microsoft Azure, and that credentials will be downloaded into your local. So that is the step. So you clearly see that I already logged in into this subscription, and this subscription ID, tenant ID, everything is there. Now I will try to write the code. So first we need Azure identity. So the from Azure dot identity, then we'll import default Azure credentials. Then we need an Azure AI agents agent client. So Azure dot AI dot agents import agent client. Then we need a file purpose file search tool, code interpreter, message role tool, resources, all of them, because we need to create an agent where would be two types of thing, which is first is the knowledge base, which is a file. The file is our written policy as we saw earlier, and the second is the code interpreter tool, the tool which executes code in sandbox. So this is the first import. Then we import Azure.ai agents. Inside that we have the models. In models we have file purpose. I'll let you know how where we are going to use this file purpose. File search tool, let's see, yeah, file search tool. Then we have code interpreter tool, yes. Then we have message role. During execution of our agentic SDK, will use this message role, how whom we are calling, whether as a user. The role will be changed when from the agent we are going to get the response. So this message role will help us over there. Then tool resource, where we'll add our tools. Okay, after that we'll set up the connection. So first is thing is, sorry, setting up the connection. Let me zoom it so that you clearly see. Okay, we're setting up the connection. So for that we need a endpoint. We already copied it endpoint. Yes, this is the endpoint we have. It will not work later. I am going to delete it after this upload, video upload. Then we create the client. So agent client, it is this agents client class will help on that part. Okay, this is default we got. So we'll provide the endpoint, and the credentials is the default Azure credentials which is saved in my local. After that, once this is done, then we'll upload your return policy. So we'll upload our return policy, that is our knowledge base. Upload document we have in the side, this return policy.txt. Then for that we need a agent client, the object itself. So this agent client, and from that we'll call the files. In the files we have this upload and poll method. Here we'll provide the file path, that is the name of the file, which is a return policy.txt. Then we have the purpose. What is the purpose of that? It is a file purpose. This is why we imported file purpose dot we have one thing called agents. Okay, so very simple. We'll store into one variable called file itself. After that we'll create a vector store where all those files will be files embedding will be storing. So this is the third step, where we create a vector store, create a vector store, and we'll create one object, vector underscore store equals to agent dot client, agent hyphen client vector stores dot create and poll. Very simple. And we'll pass file IDs, which is file dot ID. So there will be ID and variable, which is a unique ID always. The name we will have name, not file path. Name would be written. We can call it. We can name it vector DB, something like store. Is it fine? Yeah, that is fine. Then we initialize the tool. So the fourth step is to initialize the tool. Initialize the tool. So here what we will do, we'll use the file search tool. So we have that file search tool class, where we'll pass the vector store IDs. So vector store ID is equals to vector store dot ID. Then we will have the code interpreter. Code interpreter, that is another tool, which is very simple. We'll name it code interpreter, and it is just simple, nothing but code interpreter class itself that we imported here. So create a constructor of that. Then the first step is to create the agent and with combined tool. Then the fifth step is to create an agent with the all combined tools. Create the agent with combined tools. So agent equals to agent client dot create agent, and the model we chose is you remember GPT-4o mini. We named it GPT-4o mini in the first video. You found that name. So whatever name you created, accordingly you put here. So it is in my case GPT-4o mini. Then that's a foundational model you imported. You named it at that time, right? So that model name is will be there here. The name is the agent SDK name. So we'll call it return policy SDK agent. Much better. Yeah. The instruction is simply nothing but the uh, prompt you have had earlier, right? So you are a support agent, and possibly so one use file search to check return rule in the policy. Second, use code interpreter to calculate return time. Return is in within the 30-day limit. Okay. Okay, that is fine. Simple prompt will provide whatever instruction you want to give during creation. Probably you can pick up from some YML file or some local file system. That is up to you. I'm just showing one demo to you, so for that it's enough. Then the main point, the important thing is just to integrating the tools with agents, right? We have file search tool, we have code interpreter tool. So for that we have the tool resource. We have imported that class, as you remember, tool resources. Okay, the tool resources class is, yeah, here it is. Then tool resources, nothing but let's name it tool resource. Okay, the argument name is tool resources. In the tool resources will provide that two two tools. That file search is our first one, so we'll name it file underscore search. Okay, file search tool. We don't need to initialize again because we already assigned somewhere. Yeah, here it is, but we didn't assign in any variable, so you can use the file search here. File search equals to this one. Use this file search here. File search dot resources dot file search. Second thing is code interpreter. So code interpreter is called code interpreter resources dot code interpreter. Great, automatically it came up. This is the agent creation is done. Now we'll start the conversation. So the conversation always happen inside the thread. So you'll create one thread for that. So we'll name it start a conversation. The sixth step. Probably that is the last step for us. Conversation. So here simply what we will do, we'll create a thread. We'll name it a thread as a variable, and we'll in the agent client itself we have this option threads dot client sorry dot create, this one. Then we'll ask some question that require for to execute both tools. So any questions you can ask. Now the part where the user is going to ask the questions to the agent. So seventh point is just asking question to agent. So agent client, again the client, the same client is going to use again in this agents client variable. Agent client dot messages dot create. Inside that create function will pass the thread id. Thread id is nothing but thread dot id. Then role equals to user because user is going to pass the things. Then the content, we can ask the question related to our document, which makes sense here. So like example, I bought a new laptop on December 1st, but today is 10th of January. Can I return it? Okay, simple question I asked. Now we'll run the agent. So eighth step is run the agent. Run the agent. Okay. So agent client is our variable name dot runs dot create and process. Yeah, this method will help us. Here we'll provide a thread id. Thread id is thread dot id. Thread dot id. Then agent id equals to agent dot agent. This agent is being created. This variable will use, and then agent id dot id. Okay, very simple. Now we'll see the status. So we'll print one status, f run status, whether it is successfully ran or not. Run dot status. Okay, we'll assign into the run variable. Fairly simple. Now we print the final answer. So if run status is failed, probably in that case we'll say that it's not worked. Something happened. We'll debug it accordingly. So it is, if it is else, it's a success always. So we'll make one else block where we'll execute, get the message from that object. So agent and hyphen underscore client dot messages dot last, get last message, get last message by text by role. So we'll provide the role as well. The thread ID for which we are want to get it, thread dot ID, and the role would be message role dot agent. Okay, that would be fine. But we need a message role class in that case. So message role you had, right? This was the message role. We already imported from azure.ai.agents.models. So this would be there, but it will be assigned into the variable called role equals to message role dot agent. We'll print up last message, that is the response we got from okay, we'll assign into some variable. So name it last underscore message. Fine. Now we'll clean up. We'll delete the agent once the task is done. So we'll, the 10th step probably is a clean up the agent, clean up the agent hyphen underscore client dot delete agent with thread ID. Sorry, agent ID. So agent ID is, we can directly pass agent ID. The agent ID is successfully deleted. Okay, looks cool. Let's try to run it, because we didn't run and we just wrote whole code. Uh, During running, we'll get the issues, or probably it will run. Let's see. So fairly simple. It's nothing. Uh, just you can use any documentation and write this code. Documentation of obviously in Azure would be much better. Okay, we got one error. So what it says, tool must contain a file search tool definition, and when tool resource.file search is provided. Okay, here it is. So what is the problem here in the during tool? Okay, so we provide the tool resources, but we didn't provide the tools. Okay, that is fine. So let's go tools equals to star file search code interpreter. Yeah, that is fine. Let's run into debug mode. So I'll put one debugger point here to see whether everything is running properly or not. Okay, so I'll press F8, or you can do this step over this bottom indication. It goes to the next line. We'll pick up this file written policy, go to the next step. It will take some time. This will upload that written policy.txt file. Okay, now we'll create the vector store. Okay, so creating a vector store will take some time. That is done. Then we'll pass into the file search tool. Then we'll initialize the code interpreter tool. That is done. Then this agent will be created. So I'll put one debugger point here. Okay, something is happening here. Okay, okay, file search dot. Okay, let me put one debugger point here and let's try to evaluate it. Once it is stopped, we'll evaluate this particular point. Probably I need to pass the definitions here instead of this object. So these objects are objects, and there would be much there would be definitions. So let's evaluate it. Okay, here there is a definition, so we'll execute, we'll get the definitions. What is the definitions of that? We'll pass it dot definitions, Let's try to evaluate this time. Okay, evaluate. Yeah, it's working, right? So this is the ID which for this is created this asset underscore. This is the agent ID. We'll do one thing. We'll run it again in the run mode instead of debug mode, so that we'll see the result at the end and it will delete it at the end, this agent. So you see the response. You cannot return the laptop as you outside the 30 days return window policy. The official return policy status that customer has 30 days from the delivery date to initiate a return. So this is the exact output we found it, and at the end we deleted the agent. This is the agent ID. So it's fairly simple. You can easily develop this particular agent using in Azure AI Foundry using SDK itself, and you can do the conversation even. And thank you for watching this video.